Paul DiAnno will forever remain in our hearts as the legendary Iron Maiden vocalist who gave us a gift of the iconic first two Maiden albums. Yet, and what many people do not understand, he was more, and I mean much more than that. So in honor of now late Paul DiAnno, let's take a look at some of the most memorable of the many projects he has led after his departure from Iron Maiden. Here you go. After leaving Iron Maiden in 1981, okay, let's be honest here, after being kicked out of Iron Maiden in 1981, Paul DiAnno has taken a 2-year-long break from professional music scene before forming his first solo band titled DiAnno in 1983. Interestingly enough, the original name of the band was Lone Wolf, yet because of a small fact that this band name has already been taken by another group, Paul has settled on his surname for the title of the first project after Iron Maiden, which although worked well for obvious reasons, I think it's a shame that the original name didn't stick. Because the funniest thing is that we all know, of course, that Blaze Bayley's another major act was Wolfsbane. But also Bruce Dickinson actually appeared as a guest vocalist on a song titled Lone Wolf that same year in 1983. So we'd have all three Iron Maiden vocalists who had some kind of relations to Wolf outside of Iron Maiden.
When I was in school, they used to say to me, better knuckle down nose to the stone and see.
But either way, DiAnno actually abandoned the sound Paul has been known for among the metal fans, as this hard rock band leaned toward a significantly more mainstream sound, similar to that of like Journey and Foreigner, compared to the heavy metal or punk rock DiAnno was known for. And nevertheless, with this project, Paul DiAnno managed to release a self-titled debut album in 1984, as well as a video release live at the Palace and a couple of singles, before disbanding it just 2 years later due to creative differences and a lack of commercial success. Although in the year 2000, Paul DiAnno actually launched a new Brazilian project titled Nomad, on which Paul pursued yet another deviation from the sound he's known for, which was released as an album under the band's name of DiAnno, which I guess technically means that this project had not one, but 2 albums released. After discontinuing DiAnno, Paul joined a short-lived English supergroup Gogmagog, assembled in 1985 by the record producer Jonathan King. And this band was unique in a lot of different ways, starting with the fact that it featured the founding member of Def Leppard, Pete Willis, on guitar, and the legendary Neil Murray from Whitesnake, the Brian May Band, and Black Sabbath on bass. But in addition to that, we can say that it was the first ever Future Past project by Iron Maiden, uniting 3 different Maiden members from different eras in one band. As in addition to Paul DiAnno, Gogmagog also had Clive Burr on drums, and even more. In my previous Up the Irons video, I said that Bruce Dickinson and Nico McBrain are the only 2 current Iron Maiden members who did not perform on stage together with Paul DiAnno in one band, from which I received quite a lot of heat in the comments from the fans, saying that I failed to mention Yannick Gers. But the truth is that Yannick and Paul did play together, years before the guitarist joined Iron Maiden, and it was in Gogmagog when the 2 did that. Yet despite Gogmagog having all the potential, just like many other supergroups, it was a rather short-lived project, and so the only material they've released together was a 3-song EP, I Will Be There, in 1985, after which this band ceased to exist forever. By the way guys, hate to point this out, but the truth is that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the Metal Pilgrim channel. And so if you still haven't done so, and especially if this is not the first Up the Irons series video, a series in which we discuss everything related to Iron Maiden you're watching on the show, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together.
We're gonna have a good time. Always.
After the Gogmagog debacle in 1985, DiAnno quickly launched a new band, possibly the most well-known DiAnno project outside of Iron Maiden, Battlezone, which embraced the heavy metal and even more specifically the new wave of British heavy metal sound he was known for. By the way, the band's original name was Strike, and this project featured the future Overkill drummer Sid Falk, as well as the guitarist John Wiggins, known for his work with Tokyo Blade and, drumroll please, Lone Wolf! Yes, the same Lone Wolf we spoke of just a minute ago. Battlezone released their first album Fighting Back in 1986, which was seen as a much stronger, more aggressive effort by DiAnno's fans, after which they embarked on their first US tour. Yet the tensions between the band members were so high back then that lineup changes became an absolute normality for Battlezone from its very beginning. And yet, nevertheless, Battlezone did manage to release their second studio album, Children of Madness, in 1987. And the video for the song I Don't Wanna Know from the album has been on rotation on MTV in the United States, gaining the band a steady following around the world. Yet substance abuse and multiple inner conflicts simply stopped this band from growing, with most of the band's members turning away from DiAnno. In fact, by the end of what has become the final Battlezone tour, almost everyone has left Battlezone, so that Paul and Randy Scott had finished the tour with session musicians just to fulfill the contract, resulting in their disbandment in 1989. Yet in 1998, DiAnno brought Battlezone back to life, releasing the band's third album Feel My Pain, and while the album did get some traction in Brazil, it was never able to bring the band popularity neither in the United States nor in Europe, resulting in the band's end in 1999. In 1990, DiAnno once again reunited with a fellow ex-Iron Maiden band member, this time the guitarist Stratton joining the legendary new wave of British heavy metal act Praying Mantis, in what may be the most Spinal Tap moment ever, as by 1990, Praying Mantis was pretty much disbanded. Yet, just like in the movie, the Japanese promoter wanted to celebrate a 10-year anniversary of new wave of British heavy metal movement, inviting Praying Mantis to reunite and Paul and Dennis to join them. And this is how the Legends recorded Live at Last at Nakano Plaza in Tokyo on April 11th, 1990, a live concert during which both the Praying Mantis and the early Iron Maiden classics were performed. Yet this of course was just a one-time thing for Paul, and so in 1991 he forms yet another band named after his legacy, Killers, and built on the remains of his previous project, Battlezone. After joining forces with the guitarist Cliff Evans, known to most new wave of British heavy metal fans for his work with Tank, Killers managed to release their debut album Murder 1 via BMG, a title which clearly paid tribute to the legendary Lemmy. Yet in all fairness, Killers' music was rather far stylistically from Motorhead. In 1994, Killers released their second studio album, Menace to Society, a title which DiAnno most likely borrowed from the judge who sentenced him to spend 4 months in an LA jail just several months before that. And this was the record on which Killers tried to come closer to the modern groove metal sound, which of course has not really been met with much enthusiasm by some old school fans. And nevertheless, Killers survived until 2003. Although the band did not really manage to release any new studio material, yet treating their fans with many live releases. Despite many promises of releasing more studio material the band has made throughout the years.
So read between the lines, not what you see.
By the way, it is worth pointing out that especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, Paul DiAnno has taken part in multiple projects, including the many tribute albums and guest appearances on other bands' work. And just naming all of those would take up like half an hour of your time. And so in this video, let's specifically look at the bands led by Paul DiAnno, especially since, as you can see, there's still quite a lot of those. Starting in the 1990s, Paul DiAnno started releasing music under his own name as a solo artist. And so in 1995, Paul once again partnered with his longtime friend Dennis Stratton to release a joint album, The Original Iron Man, and its follow-up, The Original Iron Man 2, in 1996. And already in 1997, Paul DiAnno drops a solo record titled The World's First Iron Man. Yeah, they were really creative with the titles back in the 90s. Afterwards, in between the many compilations and guest appearances, Paul also released As Hard as Iron and the Living Dead albums, which became some of the most interesting work he has done since Battlezone. And overall, I have to point out that I actually believe that it would have made way more sense for Paul to pursue his solo career more back in the day. As it is true, he was a rather straightforward person, and this straightforwardness could piss off many, and even more, it looks like he really liked things done a certain way. And so in my opinion, if he would simply concentrate on a solo project, maybe inviting a couple of guest writers and having a decent backing band back in the day, the name of Paul DiAnno as a solo artist would actually be regarded way more, and way more people around the world would remember his legacy as a solo artist just as much as they do as him being the first Iron Maiden studio vocalist today. Yet nevertheless, of course, since then Paul DiAnno did take part in a bunch of other projects, including the Almighty Inbreds in their self-titled debut album in 1999, a Brazilian-based project Rockfellas with ex-Sepultura drummer Gene Dolabella, with whom, although they did not record any albums, Rockfellas allowed DiAnno to perform live across South America, focusing on Iron Maiden classics and hard rock covers, and a German-British heavy metal band Architects of Chaos, with whom Paul recorded their debut studio album, The League of Shadows, in 2015, yet which sadly Paul DiAnno had to leave in 2016 because of his health problems.
I move to the left, you run to the right. I'm trying to hold you close, but you just wanna fight.
And of course, the last of the well-known Paul DiAnno projects was his latest one, titled Warhorse, a band formed in 2021, which brought him back to traditional heavy metal sound, whose one and only self-titled album was released just several months before Paul DiAnno's pass, and which Paul DiAnno actually presented first to the entire world on this channel back in 2022.
Stop you crazy.
And of course, as I already mentioned, in addition to the projects I mentioned in this video, Paul DiAnno has taken part in gazillion other bands, tribute compilations, and just projects all around the world during his long and fruitful career, which started all the way back in 1978. And the purpose of this video was to showcase that although, of course, for all of us Iron Maiden fans, Paul DiAnno will forever remain the first studio vocalist of Iron Maiden, the vocalist who gave us the iconic Iron Maiden and Killers albums. In reality, Paul's legacy goes far beyond those first two records. And so just know that if you would like to honor Paul and you want to dive deeper into his life and his legacy, you can do this by listening to one of the many releases he's taken part of throughout the years, as I am 100% sure that every Iron Maiden fan can actually find something he or she will like in each of those. Although, of course, nothing can compare to what he did back in the early 80s. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about Paul DiAnno's solo work after he left Iron Maiden? And which is your favorite project of Paul's? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Thank you so much for supporting me, this show in Ukraine through this very difficult time. And I know I told you guys before that, but now it's actually on the official Paul DiAnno website as well. A couple of weeks before Paul's passing, Stephan Juris and myself started planning a special show for Paul DiAnno to perform in Ukraine to support all of his Ukrainian fans, as he really wanted to do that. Yet, of course, sadly, this did not happen, and seeing that date on Paul DiAnno website kinda brings very bittersweet feelings, at least to me. But nevertheless, I'm very thankful for Paul for everything he's done for heavy metal and for all of us Iron Maiden fans. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and will prevail. Slava Ukraini!